Good evening. Welcome to Cryptic Crunch. I thought I had everything planned. Uh, well, all right. I am your host, Willow Schuyler. This has been like a weird week for me, a weird day. And don't mind me, I'm just a little grumpy. So we'll just get right into it. Hey, folks. All right. So, no, I'm not being joined by anybody today. It's just going to be me and those of you in the chat. So, grievances. Festivus is going to come up on the 23rd, so I hope that many of you have your aluminum pole up. So today I go to work, or I decided to stop off at McDonald's before going to work, and lately I have a bone to pick with McDonald's. Why is it that every time I order coffee from them, I love my mochas, I always have to order it with an extra shot of espresso and an extra pump of syrup because, heaven forbid, you guys should have to put the syrup in the drink and not make me just either a latte or just plain steamed milk. It as a barista of 13 years, I get it. Sometimes people make mistakes. But why is it almost every time I go to a McDonald's and Tim Hortons is just as bad? And this is sounding very much a Canadian thing, but no, I'm sure I'm not the only one. If I don't make my own coffee, it doesn't get made properly. And I'm starting to sound like a coffee, sorry, excuse my language, coffee bitch. It's the reason why I like going to Parkland Coffee. Hashtag not a sponsor. They actually make my coffee right every time. Another gripe I have, I bought this shirt the other day from Parkland Coffee, and within hours of owning it, I got a stain on it already. Because I am a 3-year-old who loves to make a mess every time she plays or does something that requires, anything.
I second that.
All right. So, I hope you guys are having a better day than me. I had a nightmare last night where I was working and it started to storm and we had a giant blizzard. Get to work and it was clear. Go through my day, look out the window, and it's starting to snow. Look out the window a few moments later, and it's snowing harder. All in like a 10-minute span, we went from clear to like blizzard-like conditions where the wind picked up, back to clear in like 10 minutes. So hopefully that's not what I'm going to wake up to tomorrow morning. Again, I hope you guys are having a good day. But I mean, at least my brain has a tendency to predict weather, which really sucks. That or celebrity deaths, which hasn't been a thing this year, thank God for my brain. Sadly, we did lose quite a few celebrities, but at least I'm not predicting them this time. I'm seeing that we have quite a few people in our chat. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Sorry, I'm being grumpy. Hello, Carla Winsman, Donna Carlene. Don Dula is here. Hello. Dan Hollyfield, good evening. Um, and everybody's having a chat with themselves. Uh, John says, Grumpy must be the name of the game tonight. Hugs dear. Oh, trust me, I have a bone to pick with a couple scammers. Um, and that's coming up. Uh, I have an aluminum pole here in my office somewhere. you know, that probably would have been a better word to use. Coffee snob. Oh yeah, okay. So peppermint princess, yes. Okay, I do love peppermint mochas. I do like some peppermint, but McDonald's. Going back to that, McDonald's got my order, and they gave me a peppermint mocha. At least I don't know. I couldn't tell if there was any mocha in it though, because the peppermint was so strong that it just overpowers the drink. So yes, I'm spicy tonight, just like peppermint. And I don't like complaining about stuff like that. I don't like taking things back. Usually I'm just like, okay, whatever, I'll let it go. But I could barely drink it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna try to be nice and take it back. And then just seeing the people like completely be rude while they're working, kind of ignore customers, and they're flirting with each other, and I'm just like, oh my god, just stop, do your job. uh yeah, oh, Minnesota weather. See, I'm in the middle of Canada, so I'm sure Minnesota gets the same weather we do, which I'm very sorry if we send Minnesota our weather. Grumpy Willow is better than none. Yes. I meant like when you were made the mess with the pepper. Oh yeah. Still, I'm still reminded that happened as well, and the smell of peppermint. Yeah, that haunts me. uh, Speaking of messes. Spraying peppermint on you, that some people think that that's a good smell. My cats go crazy every time I put massage gel on my arm to get rid of the pain. It's like it's weird. Like I thought peppermint was supposed to repel cats. No, it attracts them more, and it's like worse than catnip. The Cool Kids channel. Okay, so speaking of, I don't know if you guys got the notice uh, from the back of the cereal box channel on YouTube or from my own Scholar Productions. I had to change a few. I added a few things with StreamYard. I added my YouTube channel back. And I also managed to get, I'm broadcasting live on X right now, or Twitter. Problem with that is it made me a whole new account. I thought I was logging into my own account, my other account. I accidentally made a new X account. So yeah, I'm now on X, Twitter, times 2. Passwords. Why do they always change? Like, I can't seem to remember any of my passwords anymore. And I don't want to ask if that's an old person thing, because the majority of my viewers are people in their prime. Um, I feel really like 41 is definitely that period where your brain tends to start going downhill. I thought I thought I knew all my passwords. Apparently not. So now I'm changing like all my passwords and I'm trying to write them down as I go along. So, yay. That's another thing that I'm dealing with. I'm trying not to piss you guys off tonight. Carl says after 30 it's all downhill, so get a sled. 44, it still hasn't gotten better. Oh, God. I'm gonna have to start getting those like memory pills or something because this is bad. Oh, this episode is brought to you by Dashlane. Sweetie, I doubt if you could really piss any of us off here. That's true. That's true. You guys did create the secret humor group, so Eli T. Cash is here. Hello, bud. It would take a lot to piss. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that you guys understand. Thank you, Don. All right, so that's some of the grievances out. Plus side, I did play Santa yesterday. That was so much fun. I'm sorry, Kurt Russell. You do make a good Santa, but I think I do better. So here's me with a couple puppies. That one is probably the best picture. Although I haven't been seeing any of the pictures uploaded just yet from others who have taken the pictures with their own camera. The great thing about this picture, though, is you can superimpose me into people's living rooms. I love Canva for that. No, I did not recognize you with glasses as like Clark Kent. Yeah, I really should be wearing my glasses a lot more than I do. I've kind of taken a hiatus from wearing my glasses. I don't know why, but I think I should. Oh, Dan Hollyfield says 66, and I can still remember 500,000 alien names for my stories and the plots of movies I only saw once back when I was 5. Okay, that's the weird thing. I remember my phone number from when I was living with my grandma, and you'd think that I could remember my most recent change of passwords. No. I bet I know some people who wouldn't mind if you were actually in their living rooms. Probably not dressed up as Santa Claus. Or perhaps their version of. Okay, so I'm going to do this. The following podcast may be disturbing to some diehard cryptid hunters. We're all here to have a good time, so sit back, have a drink, and let's learn together about myths, monsters, and legends. And in the case of this show, scam artists. No, I'm not talking about the Amityville horror. Although, very similar case. This is Dr. Hamilton. This is his family. They lived here in Winnipeg. They held seances and took ghostly pictures. or claiming that the pictures that they took were ghosts escaping from the bodies of the people that they were trying to, do these seances with. Now, that picture gets me. It looks like a paper mache doll. These images are apparently ghosts that are coming out of this woman. To me, it just looks like tissue paper or like the mesh stuff that you get at Halloween. And apparently that's supposed to be ectoplasm. And pictures are just, put into the mix of this stuff. The story had has its like interesting facts where it's like, okay, so Thomas Glendenning Hamilton was a Canadian doctor, school board trustee, and member of the Manitoba legislature. Oh man, I can't read. From 1915 to 1920, he was also a spiritualist, and is best known for the thousands of photographs he took during seances held in his home in Winnipeg in the early 1900s. His wife, Lillian May Hamilton, and his daughter, Margaret Hamilton Bach, were co-researchers and continue this inquiry into life after death after he died. T.G. Hamilton was born in 1873 in Agincourt, now part of Toronto, the son of James Hamilton and Isabella Glendenning. Oh, I can't read. Sorry. So yeah, they do all these investigations. Oh, and their house, the Hamilton house, it's in the same neighborhood that I lived in when I was just before I was taken into foster care. It's on Henderson Highway. And this is apparently a very popular home to visit when it comes to like ghost tours, and they actually still do hold seances. The house now is owned by the people who own own the costume shop near where I lived right now. They closed that down and moved it to this location. And as awesome as that sounds, to have a place that is known to be haunted, this family just scammed people left, right, and center of their grief. And yes, this was me being sour. Because, like, as a photographer, yeah, this looks cool, and it would be fun to mess around with photography and, kind of make your own ghostly images. But the fact that they've actually, claimed that these images were true ghosts, it is beyond me. And, yeah. These guys are no better than the Laurens. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Donna, I know one guy who wouldn't mind you showing up in his living room dressed as Santa Claus. He's pretty. Thanks, guys. That made my night. I think Donna is targeting me. Some of those photos look like Donna when I'm putting her eye medicine in. People say, what's the harm? Obviously, they have never been scanned by charlatans before yet. and then scam artists are monsters. Exactly. And that's just it. And I I have been wanting to interview the people who own this place, just to see and go in there and do my own investigation, whether or not they'll allow me. Um, I should talk to Kenny Biddle and see if we can work together on a project like this, where he comes to Winnipeg and we figure out a way to get in here and see if we can investigate this place for ourselves. That would be so much fun. Um, but there is a woman who does psychic readings, uh, and she does go to this place frequently, um, to do so. Um, yeah, I the Hamilton place was like one of those cool places growing up that I heard that that did all this, like cool little spiritual seances, and talks to people through like through the spirit boards. But the more I learn about these people, the more I like do research on them, the more it bugs me to no end the fact that it's fake, and I feel bad for the people who they scammed. Um, oh, and their Wikipedia page, I love this. Skeptics suggest that ectoplasm shown in the photographs could be made of tissue paper and cut out photographs of people, which they are. However, if fraud occurred, it is not known who executed it. Chris Rotowski points out that Hamilton was well respected during his lifetime of his scientific methods. Well, okay, I guess that ends it right there. He's well respected for his scientific methods. But at the time that this was taking place, back in the 1920s, 1930s, that a lot of people would believe pretty much anything. And yeah. So yeah, that's a little history about the Hamilton House here in Winnipeg. I'm sure you guys have similar stories of places like people like that where you're from. As Donna says, that sounds a lot of fun. Like, I love debunking. I'm seriously like as much as Johnny wants me to keep this, a fun, light and learning show. I like using my podcast as a way of debunking these stories, because I like knowing the truth. I like knowing what people are actually seeing. And yes, I know I'm going against my own belief of ghosts and the spirit realm. But the more I delve into these stories, the more I'm realizing, wow, a lot of these things have explanations. Always reach for your Hamilton Beach. It slices and dices. It makes loads of Jillian ghosts. Not like now when people are all logical and sensible, right? Okay, yes, there are a lot of people out there who still believe that JFK Jr. is going to come back from the dead. Yep, I don't get it. And I'm trying, like, I try very hard not to laugh in the face of these people, but I also want to understand what goes on in their brain. Yeah, I don't know. some things can be explained, some things cannot be explained. If there are things that can be explained, it should be. Exactly. Exactly. Like, okay, so yes, I have my own experiences when it comes to ghosts. And like I've talked about it before, my grandfather, seeing my grandfather run from his room to the kitchen soon after he died. My sister telling me that our grandfather woke us up because we were late for school again soon after he died. But because we were in the grieving process, it was just our brains imagining stuff, possibly. Um, not ready to let him go. Um, and because that was his usual thing was, he'd wake up and he'd run to the bathroom. It just, that was a constant thing where me and him would wake up. As soon as we woke up, we'd try to make our way into the living room because we wanted to see who got to the TV first. I mean, again, it would always end up on the Disney Channel, but it was just a thing that we like to do. And like some of the stories from my own family, there was a house that we lived in downtown Winnipeg, and I was way too young to remember this particular story. But according to my mom, there was a ghost that would haunt the halls, start from the upstairs and from one of the bedrooms, and make her way down the stairs and to the basement, which she freaked out because it seemed like it was a repetitive thing every night at a certain time, which I've heard that there are spirits that do that, have a repetitive motion where they repeat their death. My mom hated the basement because it was like a dirt hole. It never seemed to stay clean. And apparently there was a pantry in there that she hated going into. It just gave her the creeps. And I hate basements. Honestly, like my house, I hate going down to the basement myself when I'm by myself in the house. It creeps me out. I will not go to the attic though. I'm deathly afraid of going into the attic. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason. I just refuse to go into the attic. Maybe one of these days I'll face my fear and actually go, but I don't like going into the attic. But yeah, and back to the my mom's experience in this one house. She had an instant where she felt something at the foot of her, like she was lying on the hide-a-bed or like the pull-out couch in the living room, and she felt something at the end of the bed, and she thought it was one of the cats. Carl has a good answer about my fear of the attic. Don't go up there, but because of spiders. Don't say I shouldn't say that too loud because my husband hates spiders too. I'm usually the one killing them. But yeah, my mom felt this thing at the end of her bed, and she thought it was she thought it was one of the cats, and it was like big, and so she looked and she saw what looked like a body full of blood. Now I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of drugs or alcohol my mom was drinking. I'm sorry, Mom. I apologize, but I don't know. It was the 80s. I don't know. just unfortunately, I can't go and check this place out and see if that place was actually haunted, because the place is no longer there. It was a side by side house. Uh, there are other houses that were near it that are still there, but the lot itself is just has been since torn down, and it is now a little meeting area. Like, it has park benches, and would be a good place for a fire pit. Um, yeah, it's the house itself isn't there, so sadly that's the type of area that a lot of homeless people have made themselves homes at. My sister woke up one night in the middle of the night. I am the youngest. My sister one night got up in the middle of the night, went to go get a drink of milk or whatever, and she saw what looked like eyes just peering in through the window. Now, there's an explanation about that. It was an area where a lot of homeless and the wrong kind of people hung out. And so who knows, it could have been someone, a vagrant, peering into the window. Yeah, it would freak the hell out of me too in the middle of the night. Living people are the scariest thing. They really can hurt you. Yes, they can, Carl. So yeah, hearing the stories from this place, it's creepy. And there was speculation that the spirit belonged to a little girl who was killed by her father. Now, I've tried to do a bit of research to see if possibly, there was a story in the newspaper about a little girl who was killed by her father in that area, and I came up with zilch, nothing. Kind of like trying to look up the story behind the haunting of the Fort Garry Hotel. Now, I no longer work for them, so I think I'm a-okay to tell this little tidbit. The spirit that haunted the Fort Garry Hotel, there's so many different stories behind this. She is essentially Our Lady in White, which seems to be a common theme with other hauntings as well across Canada and in the US. It seems like everywhere, every hotel has a Lady in White or some form of it. Our Lady in White is named Kate. Now, there's no last name to coincide with this spirit, with this woman who apparently hung herself in the closet of room 202. She now, one story is she and her husband just got married, and they were on their honeymoon. She sent her husband out to get some medication because she had a migraine or just a regular headache. He went out to get her go to the pharmacy, and when he was trying to return, he got hit. So now, here's where the story kind of changes. He was either hit by a horse and buggy, because it was in that time period, or in one instance, he was hit by a vehicle. And upon learning that, and then there's another story of, I'll get to that in a moment. She found out that her husband had passed away, she was so distraught that she ended up taking her own life. Now, there's another story of that situation where it was the father that killed her in the stairwell of the hotel, like the back stairwell. I've tried looking the story up, and I just can't seem to find a story that correlates with Kate or Michael dying. And again, there's no last name to these characters. So again, you can't find any news articles because these people do not exist. The hotel made this up just to get people to come and spend money in their hotel. Oh, Carl says, seriously, when these folks go into haunted places, I fear more that homeless or dangerous folk might be hiding there. Exactly. Yeah, like the place downtown where I lived when I was a kid. Looking at it now, yeah, it like that place is is known for drugs, for drug addicts, and crazy people. Sorry, the mentally disturbed. There's a lot of them in that area. It wasn't a spirit that pulled the machete on Ted when he worked at the hotel. But no, it's just like because they can't seem to get their story straight with the ghost that haunts the Fort Garry Hotel. It bugs me to no end, and I just want to make. In my head, I want it to make sense. And then, of course, people would be like, "Oh, is this place haunted?" And I would flat out say no. But I'm supposed to be the person to continue with the story and say yes and just make up stuff that happened. No, I cleaned room 202. Nothing happened in 202 while I was in there. Okay, so yes, granted it was during the day and maybe a lot of stuff happens at night. I don't know. I just wish that people can help me understand, or at least point me in the right direction of where Kate and this story of Kate and Michael came from. But that's my little spiel about the Fort Garry Hotel being haunted. We apparently have other stories of hauntings in places that I've been, and like we have a place called the Dellenvert, and the Dellenvert Museum. Now it's an old Victorian home that housed the son of our first prime minister. He is a prominent Canadian because he was the one who chased after Louis Riel and tried him for treason. So apparently this house is haunted. I've been in there a couple times. Again, nothing. I honestly didn't really ask much either of like the particulars of what was going on that makes this haunted. Just because the place is old doesn't mean it's going to be haunted. There's, I'm sure that there's new homes out there that have worse stories than, people dying of old age. that could possibly have hauntings. Who knows? But again, Just because a place is old doesn't mean it's haunted. Wow, I should have really thought this show more throughout the week. Treasonous Spectre. Someone write that story. Oh, yeah. So Louis Riel is the first Canadian to ever be hung for treason in our country. Although I'm sure a lot of people think that our prime minister should be hung for treason. That's another story for it. That's a story for another day. Okay, so in the new year, where I see this show going, I do want to still search it, like interview some cool people. I still want to research myths, monsters, and legends. I will try very hard not to be as spicy as I am tonight about it. But the show has been going on for a couple of years, for 2 years now, and I've learned a lot. And you guys are amazing. I love the fact that you guys have stuck with me for these couple of years. And oh, John says, as you have been talking, I feel more and more like Scooby Doo is in our real lives. It was the old man withers. So yeah, I definitely want to see the show grow a little bit more. Maybe have a new co-host. Maybe see if Keisha will come back. I will definitely. 4 years? No, I'm pretty sure it's only been 2 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only been 2 years. Yeah. So yeah, the show has been through a lot. We've been through 3 co-hosts, 4 co-hosts. I keep forgetting that JD was one of them. Yeah. What do you guys think? Should I continue on the show? Yes, bring Keisha back. Yes. And we'll see. I want to see some recommendations of shows, and let me know what creatures you guys want me to touch on. Those of you listening to the audio podcast, again, I am sorry, I'm a little spicy tonight. But I'm normally much more cheery and happy-go-lucky. I'm just going to say BS to that, but yes, I am usually more of a positive mood. I love you guys too. Yes, continue with the show. I love you guys too. Don't worry. I'm not planning on. I'm not planning on going away. I was just trying to see where you guys want me to take the show. Do you guys want to see more live on location content? Even if you turn it into a conspiracy show sometimes, you know what? I'm more than willing to hear the conspiracy theories out as long as they have some basis of truth to them. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of conspiracies out there that have rung true. But if my biggest issue is talking to certain people that just pull stuff out of their butts. But I don't know. I still love learning about ghosts and hearing about places that are haunted. But again, I want to know proof. I like to know the history behind the place and the hauntings, and the probability behind it all. Conspiracies like DB Cooper and the guy on the beach in Australia. See, okay, so funny story. We actually do. We actually have a couple weird stories that I should probably touch on in the new year. We had a couple jewel thieves. So yeah, I'd like to touch on that and the possibility of one of them being DB Cooper. We have, well, one of the thieves that we had actually robbed the Toronto airport. They are still at large, and that's a recent story. So whoever that is, can you bring us back the stuff that you stole, or at least a sign that you exist, and tell us how you managed to pull this heist off, because this is a great story. Oh, Rich, you guys want to see Rich come back? Absolutely. I promised to bring him back. Yes, even more on werewolves. Okay, we'll have to I will definitely maybe see if he's busy, maybe see if he's free in January. But yeah, we have a lot of interesting myths for throughout Canada that I'd like to touch on as well. But you guys seem in the States seem to have a lot more history because you guys have been around longer. So I don't know. You guys like so. I like your myths better than ours. What does Canada have for monsters? We have a sea creature that may or may not actually exist. Up here is called the Manipogo, and then we have the Winnepogo. Yeah, it's a cheesy sea monster that people probably are seeing rocks that think that are sea creatures. I don't know. But we have, trying to think of other ghost stories that we have. I know that we have one from the Marlborough Hotel. But even that one is kind of like all over the place with stories because I can't seem to find a proper again, it's trying to find the history behind these characters of these, where these stories originated. Carl, I was trying to make you feel targeted. Did it work? This is done. Yep. No, the story of DB Cooper though still is a fun story, and the fact that he just kind of disappeared. He was there one moment, and then he was somewhere living his life. And then there's a guy around the same time that DB Cooper disappeared, and pulls off a heist here in Canada that kind of gets my brain going. And so yeah, definitely want to touch on that. Don knows that I'm writing stories about DB Cooper and the spy on Aussie on the Aussie beach. Even the answers of the origination are not there. It gets our brains thinking and going and research. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just when it comes to ghost stories, I love them, but I also hate them. And okay, maybe that's what I need to do is, have an author come on and talk about their books. And because the Matt Gasser Mattoon sounds like an awesome true crime story that I need to hear from someone who's actually done the research. Right. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me here tonight. For those of you who have been following the podcast for a while, you guys know where to find me. But if you're tuning in for the first time, you guys can find me all over social media. I am on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch ×2 now. Or not Twitch. Yes, I am on Twitch, but X or Twitter ×2. I am also on TikTok, which I found out that StreamYard can broadcast live on Instagram now. So I'm gonna figure that out, and that's another thing that I want to figure out in the new year is how to get myself somewhat monetized. I don't like asking people for money, and I know Johnny loves to. Excuse me. Okay, so you guys are here. You guys can find us on patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. There's going to be some cool things going up on our Patreon. Johnny wants me to put my live show from Comic-Con on there, which I'm a little hesitant because I want to share that with everyone, but we'll see. I'll put it on Patreon maybe for a month, and then I'll release it to everybody. Become a Serial Box super friend at www.patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. If you like the show, please donate generously. And like Johnny says, if you don't like the show, you can donate even more just to see us get a little bit better. And that is the plan for the new year. I definitely want to expand, see where the show goes, and learn more about myths, monsters, and myths, monsters, creatures, and legends. You guys, I love you guys. Again, thank you very much to those of you in the chat. You guys like Spicy Willow? I love you guys. Donna says, Carl would be glad to join you and tell you the story. Absolutely. We'll have to have a true crime month for sure. Because that seems to be where a lot of people have been going, and true crime, like I love my true crime too, but because there's always something to go along with it, like when it comes to the myths seem to evolve from true crime stories, like the Muffin Man story. Used to be he was a serial killer, and this rhyme just appeared just came out because it was a warning to kids to stay away from the Muffin Man. And that in itself is a great story for another time. Hugs to Spicy Willow. Thank you, Don. Thank you guys for joining me here tonight. I apologize again for being grumpy, but tomorrow's a new day and a new week. So, and it's Christmas. So you guys have a good Christmas or a good Festivus, whatever you guys choose to celebrate. I hope you guys have a good one. See you guys in the new year.